All right, thank you, Sophie. Amaris Martins continues the conversation about education in her focus on being back to normal after the COVID-19 pandemic.
In March 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic threw the entire education system into complete chaos. Educators everywhere found themselves frantically scrambling overnight to reinvent how they taught their students. The result? Classrooms, they vanished, replaced by computer screens. Peer interactions became limited to merely chat boxes and discussion boards. And what used to be live instruction was replaced by hours long of pre-recorded videos. In the end, more than 50 million students across the US found themselves navigating a redefined version of school. But just because something is redefined, it doesn't necessarily mean it's effective. For many students, myself included, the COVID school experience looked a little bit something like this. My laptop was propped up and accounted for in class, but behind an off Zoom camera, I was passed out in my bed fast asleep. One may say that the only thing I mastered in my virtual bio class was the art of sleeping. And for so many educators, getting their students to show up simply in any capacity became a challenge in and of itself. School time became gaming time, TV time, nap time, anything but focused learning. The lack of accountability made it easy to drift, to disengage, and to fall behind. But now, 5 years later, many students are back in schools, learning is live again, and we're interacting with our peers face to face. Yet, despite these returns to normal, students haven't fully recovered. In fact, many concerning studies show that right now, students are doing far worse than they were before the pandemic had even began. According to a 2024 report from the Center on Reinventing Public Education, they found that the average student who attended school during the pandemic is now less than halfway to a full academic recovery. Many students are behind grade level in core subjects, with public schools reporting that this is the case for more than half of their students. And well, national test score data seems to confirm this. For elementary and middle school students, test score data between 2019 to 2024 shows an unprecedented learning loss. According to the National Center for Education Statistics, fourth grade math test scores dropped by approximately 20 percentage points, while for eighth graders, it plummeted by nearly 30. This is very alarming, as this was the first ever decline to happen within the assessment's 30-year history. For decades, math scores had steadily risen, making this post-pandemic drop a particularly alarming development. And it's not just math scores. Reading scores have also regressed to levels not seen since 1992. The nation's report card shows that after a significant decline between 2019 to 2022, there was another decline in reading scores again in 2024, with a record number of eighth graders scoring in the lowest proficiency. And this problem is not just confined to elementary and middle schoolers. High school students are also being impacted as well, with ACT scores also reaching the lowest levels ever. In 2019, only 39% of high school students that were tested met the ACT's math college readiness benchmark. But by 2024, that number was down to only 29%. And it's the same thing for reading as well. In 2019, 60% of students met the reading level for the ACT benchmark, but by 2024, that number was down to 40%. These aren't just basic statistics. They represent real students who are falling behind, facing a harmed future due to lost learning. So why are students still struggling even after returning to normal? Well, many education experts point to a simple answer. During these crucial years of virtual learning, many students missed out on the essential skills they need to be successful. Instead of focused, active learning, students faced a chaotic mix of inconsistent instruction, numerous distractions, and unpersonalized support. Simply, they were just marked present in class, but not necessarily learning. But now, the problem is so big that it's even starting to affect higher education as well. Many colleges and universities are grappling with incoming students who, despite their best efforts, are underprepared and lacking the skills needed to succeed in a college environment. This explains why many schools such as Yale, Princeton, Brown, and Georgetown are reinstating back standardized testing after a period of going test optional. As Brown's president wrote to her community in a 2024 letter, standardized testing gives the admissions committee a data point that they could know that a student will be successful within a college environment. So, why is this important? Well, some of you are students, some of you are educators, and some of you are parents. And regardless of whichever category you may fall into, we're all tied to the education system one way or another. But right now, this very system is failing to deliver on its promises, which is to have students prepared for the skills they need in the real world. And at a time when we're grappling with these unprecedented learning losses, and there are notions by our current political administration to dismantle the Department of Education, we cannot afford to lose any more ground. So while we may have returned back to classrooms, to live instruction, and to being around our peers, we cannot pretend as if everything is back to normal. The data is clear. Students are still behind, they're still struggling, and only ignoring this will worsen the problem. So maybe instead of just returning back to normal, maybe we need to focus on recovering what was lost instead. Thank you.